Seriously, Lily.
I would like to call to order the Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. Are there any speakers related to closed session topics?
There are no speakers.
Having no speakers, the board will convene to close session.
Hey, Lori. Hey, Lori.
So tonight, we're going to cover a few things. I'll talk briefly about where we're at as a district in general. Then we'll get into where we're at in terms of our plan. We'll briefly touch on where we've been, but we've covered a lot in the last couple of years, and we'll spend the majority of the time talking about this year, what you can look forward to as we're moving through the final year of our strategic plan. So compared to, I was sharing with somebody earlier, this is my 4th year in the district, and it's the first time anything has felt somewhat normal. And I'm not even sure what normal is anymore. But right now, in a lot of the key areas that districts, for a district, we're in really good shape. We have right now, for our students and families, we've never had better, more aligned services. And we have the family and student and family service department over at Barnard White, where everything's connected. We have a very stable staff. We are one of the only districts I know of that we don't have any full-time teaching vacancies. We have some part-time ones here and there, but our staff is full, and not many districts can say that. We have a good relationship right now with our labor partners, CSEA and NHTA. We have right now, in case you don't know, a 2-year agreement for this year and next year where we've settled on things like money and some of the big areas. So we're able to focus on things like how do we make things even better for our employees and our families and students here in the district, which is great. Not many districts. I think we're the only district around that has a 2-year agreement that way. We've been focusing on the classroom as well. And most of you know that have students in the district, we're one-to-one. That happened during our time here there's one device for every student in the district. We have new interactive whiteboards in the classrooms, new information systems and ways and tools for families, students, and teachers to use that are improving our learning environments. Again, comparing us to other districts, we're way ahead in a lot of places this way. We have, if you've been looking around, or you can see some of the work that's gone in from our bonds and from our routine maintenance across the district in different areas, and we're continuing to do that. We're closing out projects and starting new ones. And perhaps most importantly, because if we don't have a stable budget, it's really difficult to maintain all those other areas. And right now, it looks like for this year and the next 2 years, we're going to be in pretty good shape. So the district itself as a whole, we're in good shape. And compared to, I talked to my colleagues across the county and across the state, and I think we're in a better spot than most districts across the state. I feel pretty comfortable in saying that. So it allows us to do this, focus on teaching, learning, and continuing to keep student safety at the forefront as we're moving forward. So what's guiding us is this journey we're on. We're on a 3-year journey. And this is year 3 of our 3-year journey. And it's been guided by 5 goals. Our first 2 goals are about kids. This first goal I call our teaching and learning goal. And this is about our accessibility goal, making sure that all of our students have access to everything that we're offering. Our third goal is focused on our employees and making this district the best place it can be for our employees. Our 4th goal is really about our community and making sure that our community is engaged with us and aware of all the things that we're doing in the district. And the last one is about our resources, our facilities, our budget, and making sure that we are sustainably moving forward. So there's different sub-goals to each of these areas, but these are the 5 goals that have guided this journey. And you don't need to be bothered by all the words on this. The key point of this slide is back in 2019-20, we went through the process of developing the goals, going through that process. And year 1 was in the 2021 school year. Of course, we didn't finish that year in person. And then the year 21-22, we were out completely due to COVID. And then year 3, I'm sorry, I've got it slightly off. 19-20, we didn't finish the year that way. 2021 was the year we were closed. And last year we were back. But boy, that was a challenging year. But this is the 3rd year in our journey. Next year, we'll start this process over again. So you can just substitute the dates in the red banner across the top. That would be 23-24. 24-25, and so on and so forth. So this is where we're at in the 3rd year of this journey. You can't read these words on the screen. It's not intended to. Where we have done over the course of these years, we accomplished a lot. You can see some of it. If you've been looking at this slide, you see the new logo. If you've been on our website, you can see the new tools that we have at the district level anyway so far. Talk more about that to come. We have new buildings and spaces. For our equity work, we've engaged and activated our equity policy. We have an administrative rate. We've had equity councils now at all of our sites. We're doing equity walks on the security side. There's new fencing. More to come on all of that. So anyway, there's more. This is just a. If you're really interested, you can, when we load this up on our website, you can dig into this if you want. But the purpose of tonight isn't really to talk about where we've been. Since this is year 3, it's about where we're headed. And so what I want to do now is we'll have our staff give you a preview of some of the things as a community member, as a staff member, as a parent, as a student that you can look forward to this year in our final year of our strategic plan. And we'll start with our first goal area. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Pisani for the next 2 goals. Scott, you want? Oh.
Good evening, everyone. District goal number 1, college, career, and life readiness, focuses in 3 different action initiatives. 1.1 deals with providing personalized, innovative, standards-based instruction and curriculum delivered through a variety of pedagogy and approaches. 1.2 deals with the integration of technology into the learning experiences of our students, and 1.3 focuses on the access student learning through a system of formative and summative assessments. Over the course of the last couple of years, as data systems had to be reimagined and locally created and comparative student performance data has been very difficult to determine. There's been no California dashboard from the Department of Education. There have been no state assessments, and such as SBAC. And then locally administered assessments were tremendously impacted through distance learning and our return to in-person instruction. But in 22-23, it is a new beginning for us. We administered SBAC in the spring of 2022. We've embedded an analysis of those results into our local adaptive action cycles, and a new iteration of the California dashboard is scheduled to be released from the CDE in December of 2022. And it's all about student learning. Our adaptive actions, also known as cycles of inquiry, provides us with a systemic approach to be able to review and analyze student district and site level performance data, identify areas of strength and opportunities for growth, and align our resources to strategically leverage our available funding and funding sources. So in 21-22 school year, the Division of Teaching and Learning created our own systems of monitoring student performance data through the course of the year using multiple sources of locally collected student performance data, NWEA, report cards, progress reports, student surveys, etc. This was in order for us to provide sites with information that they could engage in adaptive action cycles and create mid-year adjustments in programs and services based on student need. We're staged to include our new SBAC results as well as the California dashboard in the upcoming year in this adaptive action cycle. In October, we're going to be taking a deeper dive into the activities for goal number 1 as part of our annual update from the Division of Teaching and Learning. In focusing on goal number 2, again, equity, access, and achievement, there are 3 action initiatives: ensuring inclusive and equitable conditions, developing and implementing multi-tiered systems of support for academic, behavioral, and social, emotional, and mental health supports for students, and being able to coordinate student services related to school success, attendance, and family stability. Last year, there was a need to provide mental health supports, social emotional supports for our students and staff as we return back to in-person instruction. As one of a variety of supports that we provided, teachers on special assignment, or TOSAs, at each of our school sites helped to create our school wellness rooms. These wellness rooms created safe spaces for our students that offered and coordinated a variety of student-based individualized needs for our students. And while there was a similar structure at each of the school sites, what mental health supports actually looked like proved to be very different from school to school, as well as from elementary to middle and middle to high school. This year, in thinking about supporting our students, we are taking a more centralized approach in these efforts. And we've created positions such as our coordinator and counselor of equity, access, and achievement, in order to coordinate and lead the implementation of equitable practices in our district, help to lead the efforts in development and understanding and implementation of MTSS, or multi-tiered systems of support. Again, to be able to focus on academic, behavioral, social, emotional, and mental health supports. Also, to be able to coordinate and enhance our coordination of services team as a part of this effort as well. And then based on the previous focus on equity in the district, we're uplifting the work we've created, and we are continuing to refine our systems in order to meet the needs of our students. In response to our educational partners' identified areas of focus, teachers on special assignment are once again available to provide support at each of our school sites in the district. In 22-23, our teachers on special assignment are receiving professional development on a weekly basis and are able to collaborate with one another in order to create coherence in our system. The district intends to continue to be able to support and allocate resources for the next 3 years to be able to continue with this work. In addition, in 22-23, we're continuing to build on our work from last year's equity work and including site-based equity walks, adopting site equity goals, focusing on our special education disproportionality, and reforming the district equity councils as a few of those examples. We're engaging in a district-wide audit of organizational equity in the upcoming year. And we've partnered with Promise 54, a nationally recognized educational organization who's partners with school districts to guide us in a process of advancing our district goal number 2. Some of the activities we've already engaged and completed with Promise 54 so far this school year is we've conducted interviews with a variety of district representatives, including MHTA, CSCA, as well as our administrators and parent representatives as well. We've completed an exhaustive and comprehensive equity artifact resource for them to be able to gain access and information about our previous and continual efforts around equity. We've completed equity surveys from our certificated staff, our classified staff, and our administrative staff. And we formed equity working groups and collaboration groups focusing on visioning, including representation from our teachers on special assignment from every school in the district to build common definitions and understanding around equity, diversity, inclusion, and the formation of a new district equity belief statement. Our collaboration with Promise 54 also will guide us in the remainder of the year, what's to come in the next steps of our equity audit, is for us to, in a working group, have a session number 2 focusing on the current state and root cause analysis of equity in the district, engaging in a strategy brainstorming. Again, another collaborative group focusing on strategy development and prioritization, and then strategy review finalization, strategy sequencing and key activities, and then a final handoff conversation to prepare to implement action initiatives in the new district equity plan that will advance district goal number 2 around equity, access, and achievement. In October, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the district's activities to support goal number 2. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Derek McNamara.
Thank you, Mr. Pisani.
Hello. For goal 3, there was a deliberate focus on trying to reconnect with our employees. After 2019, it was necessary throughout the system and the community to really relook and kind of reset. And so a lot of the work that we had planned during those first 2 years of the strategic plan began. But as you know, COVID struck, and it really derailed a lot of the things initially. But in some ways, working with our labor partners, what it really did do is it brought us to the table and it distilled things down to kind of the most essential thing in the system, which was how do we keep our staff and our students safe? And a lot of those conversations initially, we met weekly with our union representatives, and I know with the superintendent as well, constantly talking, doing MOUs, trying to figure out the best way that people could actually do their job and do it safely. And so in some ways that helped build the relationship back a little bit. And I know that working with our 2 presidents, Robin Hernandez and Joe Angeles, it really did set us back on a path that I felt was more collaborative and inclusive. And so then the work started getting back to, on the strategic plan, having inclusive decision-making, having people in the different unions selected by the union leadership to be a part of those decisions was really an easier sell and an easier kind of collaborative kind of work that we did. Then when it came down to how do we appreciate staff, how do we show them? I think initially there was a feeling that, you know what? They want to see it. They want to see that the relationship's back first before we start just doing celebrations. People weren't ready for that. And so in a lot of ways, the union leadership was really good about being very honest with us and working with us to try to figure out what's the right path and the timeline to do that. Now that we're in the next phase, this is the third phase, in the third year, one of the things we're trying to figure out is where are the holes? And a lot of the holes that we looked at over the last couple of years, Sherry Benefield was my coordinator for a long time, and it was consuming for her during COVID, but she's also very hands-on, making phone calls, being available all the time to help people through that. And she's retired now, and I was really lucky to get Camila Green to be my new coordinator, and she's really good at those things too. She's also really good with technology. And a lot of the things that we're doing is trying to figure out how do we communicate better to our staff and how do we receive communications better? Using different things with a website, using different types of social media, using different things in terms of FAQs to be really clear with staff how they can get information so that we can be proactive as a system to give them what they need. Joe Angelis and Robin Hernandez meet with me weekly. They let me know when they think that their staff needs something. And so we're going to be talking about how do we do a lactation policy FAQ? How are we going to do something with pay stubs to help employees understand that how to read their pay stubs and to learn those things so that they don't have to constantly have questions when they look at their checks every month. Little things like that, trying to make the lives of our employees easier so they can just focus on their jobs is something that we really want to focus on. And then in the second part, we've done some surveys with our employees and also working with our union leadership to figure out how do we celebrate staff. Now that we're at a point now where people are feeling a little bit better and we're coming out of it, not done, but coming out of it, of COVID. We're still living with it and we'll be with it for a while, but we can start getting back to that, as Dr. Thompson said, it kind of feels a little bit more normal than it has the last few years. So how do we start celebrating? I know that the sites do different types of celebrations and acknowledgements. At the end of this year, the plan is at the PAC to do a very large acknowledgement of years of service and retirees in a way it's bigger than we've done in a long time. And it's something that everyone in the community and the district is going to be involved in. So we're really looking forward to that. And again, we're going to be looking at how do we continually try to figure out ways to serve our employees through mental health services, through employee assistance, but also making sure we talk to our labor partners to make sure that we are not getting ahead of that, but working with them. So I'm going to turn it over to Annette Heldman for the next. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. McNamara.
Thank you. Okay, so after keeping score, we had a couple of student-based goals and employee-based goal. And the next goal, the next area of focus for us is about engaging our community and advocating for our district. And this is an area where I think we're really starting to see some of the benefits of the work that's been going on for the last 3 years. Some of it's really easy to see. For example, our new logos, you can see them everywhere. You've been to our website, you see a big change there. This year, we are going to, rather than have all of our school sites have individual websites as part of our effort to make it easier for parents and students to access information, we're going to have an interconnected website ecosystem where every school site will have their own a new refreshed web page that has all the information in the same spot in a more presentable way, and it's connected with our website. So you'll, again, one of our efforts to try to make things easier and better and more accessible for our families. We're trying to, on the other side of the house, and this affects parents too. I know there's been a little pain in shifting to a new student information system, and you've heard me say it before, but anytime you make a change in something this large, that virtually affects every single employee, student, and parent in the district who access that. There are some growing pains, but in the end, this new student information system, ARIES, should make it much easier for our families, students, and staff to share information. You'll see more alignment and continued alignment this year with our community, our outreach efforts through social media, interacting with the website, through our e-news and all that, we're going to continue to grow that. And then again, if you're trying to advocate for your district and engage your community, You can do these things, and we should provide easier ways for you to access information from us and share information with us. But one of the other things you need to look at is what programs are we offering? And one of the things I do want to highlight is that at the beginning of the 3-year strategic planning cycle, we started a Mandarin dual immersion program to complement our Spanish dual immersion program. And that program's taken off. The 2 largest elementary schools in our district are now the elementary schools that house these programs, Searles and Emmanuel. And when you, later on, if you stick around for the board meeting, one of the things that you'll see is that we projected, like most other districts in the area, to decline in enrollment. We projected about a 300 student loss. Well, we were about half of what we thought we would lose. And then if you look at the number of families that are coming to our district to enter into these programs, there are 70 some odd families that are coming from out of the area just to come to our dual immersion programs. That's advocating and connecting with our community to bring people back into our district. So that is really, those dual immersion programs are taking off. Got to give credit to Lee Stevens, who coordinated that. She's the dual immersion master. So thank you, Lee, for that. It's really the thing off. So in terms of engaging with our community, these are some of the things that you'll see more of. In addition, we're looking at other types of engagement events that the board and I have been having some discussions about that, ways that the community can, now that we can get together in person, other ways that we can have maybe more less formal types of engagement. So expect all of that to come related to Goal 4. And now, Ms. Elvin, I'll turn it over to you in Goal 5.
Okay, continuing on to Goal 5 of our goals. It's all about our resources. We have 3 action initiatives under Goal 5, which is effective resource management and operational sustainability. And to summarize those action initiatives, it's really all about making sure that our goals and priorities drive our budget. Those 2 have to be aligned. And it's all about our safe and future-ready learning environments. And you're seeing that if you're driving around and looking at our school sites. We've accomplished and implemented a lot of those. And of course, as mentioned and alluded to several times, our enrollment stabilization plan. Now, a lot of the pieces in Goal 5 touch on the other goals because it really correlates with those other things based on the action initiatives. So you've seen in earlier slides where we've come from in terms of this goal. So I wanted to share with you the things that we are looking forward to. These are the things or major highlights of what's in the pipe. Of course, we are right smack in the middle of implementing our Measure M bond program. We have major projects that we are in the middle of. A lot of exciting things. Our district-wide security camera system, for example. We're starting that off with Logan. Logan having 1/3 of our total population, we are starting that as phase 1. And the rest of the schools will be phase 2, but we are going to be doing those pretty much one after the other. When we do Logan, we pretty much have answers for the rest of for the rest of our schools. That's a big project that we are very excited about. And of course, thanks to some additional federal programs that happened a year ago, or this past year actually, some ESSER II money that allows us to expand the scope of our energy infrastructure focused on indoor quality and HVAC system. That's another major multi-million-dollar program that we have embarked on, and we are in the middle of that. We actually are in the, we just finished the scoping out process because this is huge. It's throughout the district. And of course, I'm not going to read all of these, but there are a lot of different projects that we have embarked on. Some of them are like new, first time for the district. May not be as sexy as the others, but records retention is actually a huge project because it's something that we've never done before and it's badly needed. So those are the things. We also are putting together an emergency preparedness plan. There's a lot of work going into that, involving different key departments with regards to that. And we've had a couple of discussions on those. So this is what we can look forward to. We won't be able to focus on these other things if not for a stable situation that we have in other areas, namely the budget, as the superintendent mentioned earlier. We can focus on the things that we should be focusing on because other areas are pretty stable or in good shape at this point. So I actually kind of touched on both sides in the same thing. So again, our facilities master plan implementation, this is the updated version of our FMP. If you all recall, we went through this process in 2020. So this drives the future projects that we are going to be embarking on. Of course, that goes hand in hand now we get money from the state, not for facility infrastructure. That's a whole different thing that we have to go to. And thanks to our community, we have Measure M that allows us to do the things that we are doing. We are looking to, again, looking at maybe 2024, another bond, because needs evolve. The way that we teach in instruction delivery evolve and change. So those are the things that as a district, there's a reason why our facilities are in the condition that they are. It's because of these things that we are very cognizant of and putting in the forefront all the time. I mentioned about the safety projects. You've seen fencing in some of our schools. That's going to continue this coming year in other schools. And I believe at that point, I'm going to turn it over back to the superintendent. I think that's the end of the presentation. Thank you, Ms. Elton.
Right, well, that gives you a preview. That's not all the work that we'll be doing this year, but those are some of the core pieces of work that if you're out in the community or at our schools, you can look forward to seeing. And at the end of this year, we'll conclude our third year of our strategic plan. And next year, we'll kind of do a 3-year overview of everything we've done. But for this year, that's it. And at 6 o'clock, that's when we're scheduled to end. We have a little reception right outside with some food and some dessert and things like that. So please join us out there. And then we will start the regular board meeting at 6:30 sharp. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
We will now convene open session and report out from closed session. Live streaming on YouTube will begin now for the open session of the Board of Education meeting. The URL for YouTube live streaming may be found on the NHUSD Board of Education webpage. If you are joining us online via the Zoom webinar and you would like to provide public comment for this meeting, you may do so by utilizing the raise your hand option in Zoom. Or if you are calling in by phone, please press *9 and wait to be called on. If you are in person, please grab a blue form from the basket at the table by the door and give it to Lori, Ms. Valdez. Community members may still provide public comments to the board prior to each meeting via email at publiccomment@nhusd.k12.ca.us. There was one comment provided to the board for tonight's meeting via the public comment email address. I would like to remind the public that we will not be responding to questions posed by those making public comments. There was no action taken by the board in closed session. And I would like to introduce our brand new 2022-2023 Student Board Representatives, JLHS, and Sunny Goodman from CCHS. Welcome. We'll have them introduce themselves later in our comments from the board members and superintendent. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag is over there. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Here. Khan.
Here.
Canlis.
Here.
Ishihira.
Here.
Chima.
Here.
Gonzalez.
On the screen.
Mallory.
Here. Okay, may I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda? I move. Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, now we are at 7.4, our land acknowledgement. Do I have a volunteer who would like to read our land acknowledgement? Trustee Chima, please go ahead.
The land acknowledgement will be read at this time of the meeting. We want to open up this meeting by acknowledging with respect and love that the land we are on today is the traditional ancestral homeland of the Ohlone Chochenyo First People. We recognize and thank the Ohlone people as the original stewards of this land. Indigenous people must not be spoken about in the past context as if they left on their own accord. Then the real causes were white supremacy, manifest destiny, and US colonization. By recognizing we stand on the occupied indigenous territory of the Ohlone people, we recommit ourselves to listen to the native leadership and stand in solidarity with the people struggling against systems of oppression throughout the world, past and present. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Chima. We are now to section 8, which is hearing of visitors on topics which are not on the agenda. So those would be topics that we don't already have on our agenda. Are there any blue cards for topics that are not on the agenda?
We have one blue card. President Joe Angeles.
Welcome, President Angeles. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Trustee President Mallory. Vice President Gonzalez at home, trustees member here, board reps, Dr. Dr. Thompson, members of staff, and people in the gallery and at home. I did want to comment on the main issue was we know we're really relieved with the coolness of the weather in the Bay Area. But I do have to share with you, last week was a very trying time for us, both in the classroom with students as well as teachers. And as you know, it comes to my attention about that concern. I have shared it with Dr. Thompson, and it was a great conversation, but I thought it was best to at least bring attention to it formally and publicly, that I think in matching with what we did previous to the meeting about the strategic goals that encompasses the whole sustainability and maintenance of resources. And I think there's no doubt, because it's been long known, that air conditioning in classrooms need to be looked at and really considered as a priority. And we can't wait for an unfortunate thing to happen last week with the weather. So I'm just asking that we kind of give better attention to it. I know it's been in our mind for many years, but the last week kind of brought it to heavy attention. When I get concerns from staff saying I'm working in a classroom of 88 degrees, 92 degrees, 94 degrees, tells you something really needs to be fixed. I understand the situation at the time of that need was not there because it does have to be planned. But I think it gives you the value of what needs to happen in the future and work on it as we go along rather than waiting for something like this to make it a heavy precedent in our minds. And so I just want to kind of, again, remind us as you move forward, like Dr. Thompson said in his comments before, to make sure we kind of understand that, because I know the students, I got reports too of both staff and students staying there, kind of got ill from just being in that kind of environment, from just heat exhaustion, all those things that we know exist, but we should be very much cognizant of something to kind of impede that thing and make sure when it happens, it's gonna be taken care of. So I appreciate your time and your understanding. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Now we will go to Zoom. Reminder that if you wish to speak on topics that are on the agenda, you can use the raise your hand function if you're on Zoom, or *9 if you're on the phone. Are there any speakers via Zoom that wish to address the board on topics which are not on the agenda?
There are no speakers via Zoom.
Okay. Moving to public comment, hearing of visitors on topics which are on the agenda. Again, if you wish to speak via Zoom, raise your hand, or if you're calling, each speaker will get 2 minutes to speak. Do we have any blue cards for topics on the agenda?
No blue cards.
Are there any speakers via Zoom who wish to address the board for topics on the agenda?
There are no speakers via Zoom.
Okay. Moving on to section 10. 10.1 is our presentation of the 2021-22 unaudited actuals financial report. Ms. Feldman?
Evening once again, Annette Heldman. I am your Chief Business Officer. So we are closing the chapter on our 2021-22 financials by way of the unaudited actuals financials report. So this is the code that tells us what we need to do, how we need to do it, and by when we need to do it. It's in education code. So we've come to a full circle, literally. As you can see here, we are now at the end of that 21-22 budget cycle. Darker shaded color is the end of that fiscal year cycle. In this presentation, I'm going to go over the main ingredients of what makes up our budget: our revenues, expenditures, contributions to programs, our ending fund balance, and we also are providing for you a trend in terms of that year-to-year ending fund balance in our operating budget. So let's look at our revenues. As you can see, the biggest portion of our base or general fund operating budget comes from revenue limit and property taxes in the form of the local control funding formula. 73% And about 63% of that comes from state aid. About 37% comes from your local property taxes. And the rest, of course, comes from other sources, federal, state, and local. Federal, of course, are where we've gotten, especially in the last 2 years, all of those federal stimulus funds. We've spent some of them. We are in the process of spending some of them, namely ESSER, and of course, we also have ongoing funds that fall within that category. Most notable one, of course, is Title I and other state sources, lottery, those kinds of things. Our revenue compared to the last time that we presented our financials to you are lower by 1.6 million. And by state, by government accounting manual, those really are, we still have them, but because of the way that we have to do our finances, we're simply having to defer them to the following year. We didn't actually lose them. These are simply cash that we received that we didn't spend. So we're moving them to the new year. And in terms of our expenses, similarly, we're providing a visual of how did we spend our money. And of course, we are a people business, therefore a big percentage of our expenses fall in that area, in that investment area. So our expenses are lower by 4.2. Now 1.6 of that is offsetting, simply offsetting the revenue that we then earn, that we are moving on to the next year. In terms of the variance, the remaining 2.5, that is a big portion of that really are contracts that were not fully used. About 1.4 of the 2.6 actually is in the SPED area. We have to open purchase orders for the services that we think we're going to need, and only when we close the books, when we know that we will not be able to spend them, if some of these things are released. And that's the nature of how we close our books from year to year. Another thing that we've provided here is a further breakdown of the salary cost by employee group. That was asked by the board a couple of years ago, and as you can see, we're adding that here. Again, a further breakdown of what that is. Employee benefits, however, is for all. There's just no way to really break that down by the different employees. Just think of it that way, that 25% is really a spread of the employee benefit cost that we pay to the different employee groups. And as you can see here, like I said, we are a people-intensive profession. If we look at our combined operating budget, 86% of that is spent on our staff. And if we just look at our unrestricted, that's 90%. And that really, there's not a fluctuation there. The trend had always been consistent that way. So this is a very interesting slide. As you can see, what this shows are the contribution from the unrestricted general fund to certain programs that require contribution. Some require it by code, some require it because if we don't, they will not be able to balance the program. And we cannot close the books with these things unbalanced. We will not be able to actually complete the process using the state software. As you can see, not only are we providing the amount for the year that we are closing, for comparative purposes, I am providing the amount from prior year. One big change is child nutrition services. For those of you who have been here, that contribution at some point peaked to about $1 million. So the year that we just closed, there were a couple of things that happened that converged that actually allowed us to do this. We got some additional rate increase from the feds that continued. We got some additional help from the feds in the form of grants. And also because of programs like ELOP, or the Expanded Learning Opportunity Program, that actually allowed us to absorb some of that cost and put it where it belongs, is why those are the ingredients that help in terms of zeroing out the contribution to child nutrition program. And that's not the only thing. When you look at the trend, as you can see, our contribution to adult school also have decreased, and there's a lot of right sizing that we did. And of course, all the one-time monies that we receive, we are always constantly looking for ways to relieve the general fund and spend those in ways that we can, as long as it's within the allowability of the program. So this is great news. I'm always like holding to something, thinking, okay, will I see the same trend next year? I don't know. So let's enjoy the moment. Right now, it's good news. And this is our ending balance, another important feature. We're just simply breaking it down between restricted and unrestricted, because that's how the state looks at our finances. And the other side to that is, because of a GASB pronouncement, not to be too technical, we actually have to designate them in different buckets. As you can see, area called non-spendable, an area called restricted. Those are all of those programs that we receive from federal and state that are slated for very specific things. And as you can see, the required reserve that the state wants us to put aside is also there. So this is simply saying this is how we are ending, which is 2.5 million higher compared to the last time that we presented these numbers to you. Oh, before I go to this page, the important thing to remember is this is simply a close year. It doesn't have what we are looking at for the next 2-year projection according to AB 1200. So what happens is this ending balance, when we present to you the first interim, that actually goes to the current year and spread out to the next 2 years, because by then we are required to project those plus 2 years again. As I mentioned earlier, one of the things that we track is, hey, how are we looking at based on what we estimated and what we really do have by the time we close the books, which is the unaudited actuals. We had some anomaly years, but as you can see for 21-22, we seem to be going that direction again. That norm is starting to materialize again. Hopefully we are at the heels, or we are done with those anomaly years, and we can start looking at a more normalized way that we can really take hold of our finances once again. When we close the books, there are certain areas that we actually have to report that we have to comply, quite frankly. So these are those that I selected from the actual full report that's here. We meet our maintenance of efforts in special ed, both in the budgeted and in the actuals. That's a good thing. We meet, more than meet, our CEA, which is a formula for our educational programs. What that means is, first of all, the requirement for unified school district is 55%. What that simply means is a lot of our focus really is going towards instructional, direct classroom instruction. Believe it or not, there are districts, especially when we shifted, there were actually districts who were having a hard time meeting this. Part of it could be mechanical, part of it is priorities, we don't know. But for this district, we've never had trouble meeting this area. So what's next? In a later part of the agenda, you will be requested to approve the unaudited actuals. This is the highlight of those. In the packet is the full report. 95% of this book are required and prescribed forms by the state. I do provide a 6 or 7 page executive summary to synthesize all of those major important highlights. And what happens to these sets of finances, they will be audited by our independent auditor throughout the course of the next few months. The auditors are required to submit the audit to the state controller's office by the end of December. You will see the result of that audit in January. So that's what happens to the set of financials. I will entertain any questions if there are any.
Are there any questions from the trustees? Trustee Chima?
Just a clarification in the last slide, number 10. CEA, percentage of current cost of education expenditure per classroom compensation. So what comprises this? Salaries of the teaching staff and books and what else?
So instructional, everything that the state uses certain codes. So when we code something, because it's going to direct instruction or direct classroom, it goes into there. So that would be, like you said, classroom teacher salaries, paraprofessional salaries, because they are servicing. It's a direct service to the students in the classroom. Books, materials, all those per pupil allocation that we provide to schools.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That's it.
Any further questions? Thank you once again for an excellent presentation this morning. Our next item is 10.2, a staffing update from Mr. McNamara.
Thank you. President Swinelli, members of the board, and Superintendent Thompson. Tonight, I'm going to be combining staffing updates with a little bit of enrollment and a little bit of TK, just to give you an update of kind of how we are at open this year. And so I'm going to start talking a little bit about the enrollment. And so if you see the breakdown for elementary, general ed, and the SDC by level, and then you see the number at the bottom, 10,266. If you're looking at something in your packet, it may have been a PDF. That is old information already in a couple days. So this is the one up here is the one that's a Google Doc. So the one you're seeing up here, hopefully it's the same one that you're looking at now, but if it's different, the one that's up here is the one you should look at. So 10,266 is the one, that is the number of students right now in Aries. That is in the system right now. I want to show you some comparisons. Basically, last year at CBEDS, which is the first week of October, we had 10,442. We predicted when we did projections this year to lose 300 students. So 10,141 was our projection. The number I just showed you, 10,266, that means we're 125 students right now above our projection. That's a good thing. We hope it holds up. I talked to Marcus Lamb today. He said he's still getting kids coming in and enrolling. That's good. But that offsets the students that we can't find that we have to drop. So at the end of it, if that stayed right there, we'd all be very happy. And we're hoping that it does by CBEDS. It's worth noting that in Alameda County, the average percentage drop is 6.3%. So for 10,000 students in our district, that's 600 students that many districts are losing in a year. If they're a comparable size district, in California, the number is even bigger. So the fact that there's some strategies that our district, the board, superintendent, and staff have implemented over the last couple of years that seems to be helping at least to stabilize. Dr. Thompson mentioned this earlier, but the work that Hui Stevens, Raquel Bocage, and Clint Puckett at the Cyrils and Emmanuel, the work they have done to bring in the Mandarin and Spanish dual immersion students, that number up there, 58 Mandarin and 9 Spanish, are inter-district transfers. They would not have been ours. They came here from the outside. That is money to the district and students to the district to our bottom line. That is really what is helping offset that number. So that loss, so that's really, really good work on their part. Some of the things you might be asking about too, I'm not sure if the PDF is what you're looking at, but right now there are 0 vacancies for full-time positions in the system. At the elementary level, there are actually 0 vacancies. In the middle, there's a couple of a 0.6 and a 0.4, and the high school, a 0.6 biology and a Punjabi 0.6. We have some leads on all of them, and we're hoping by the end of hopefully this week or next, we should have them filled, or at least have a long-term sub at least in the high school ones. In terms of substitutes, I'm sure you hear about it nationwide and also countywide. It's better than it was last year. It's still not great, but it is definitely better. There are fewer uncovered absences. The work that the teachers union has done in terms of working with us in an MOU, that MOU, if it carries forward to this year, it really does help. Many other districts are asking for that same MOU so they can utilize it because it really does help it when we don't have enough subs in the system. Just today, even though the averages have been about 2 or 3 uncovered classes a day, we use internal people to cover. We had a lot of uncovered staff today. Because we had PD for MTSS TOSAs, there were a lot of uncovered classes, but staff stepped up working with principals to make sure those classes were covered. right? Class sizes and staffing ratios can be confusing, so I'm gonna separate them. Elementary is the one we want to look at first. If you look up there, when we look at elementary versus the secondary, elementary, because of class size reduction in the past and the way we approach it, when we say staffing ratio and class size, it's really the same thing. So when we say 24:1 at the elementary level, the classes should be at 24. In TK and K. In grades 1 and 3, we said 29. So it is 29. And then in 4 and 5, it's 32. And the reason why it's the same class size and staffing ratio is because prep at the elementary level is separate. So I'll give you an example. We have 600 kids at a school. If 30:1 is our staffing ratio, you divide that number by 30, 600 by 30, you get 20. That means they get 20 teachers to teach those 600 kids. But in our district, the district a long time ago made a commitment to say prep is going to be separate. So we get 4 teachers per site at the elementary level, 28 district-wide, so that prep is done separately. So those kids don't go back to other teachers and increase the class sizes. Those class sizes right there are 24 across the grade levels, 29 across the grade levels. And that is a lot of money, $2.8 million a year that we pay in prep for good reasons to keep those class sizes low. Because if we're gonna have lower class sizes, having it there is probably the most important. At least that has been our history. At the middle and high school level, we have a 30:1 staffing ratio. We take the number of students at Logan, 3,400 kids divided by 30, they get a number. That's not the same as class size. Class sizes are, depends. PE and band might have 40 or 50 kids in a class, but a computer science AP class might have 15. And so the average is probably about 30, 33 is what we hope for. Some classes are a little higher than that. Some are 37, 38. It depends, but it's a district or a site-wide average. But we did an MOU with the district or with a union last year, and it carried over into this year, which is 170 daily contacts at grade 6 and grade 9 for academic courses. English 1, biology and science, biology and algebra 1. So that's at the high school level. So most of the classes will have an average, the teachers who teach element or 9th grade will have 170 contacts. The reason why I have it on there is one of the things we're doing this year is working with the union, teachers union, to have a class size committee look at the class size topic, the language in the contract. We've never done contact limits before, but it's something that we thought, let's try it and see how it is. And so we're going to find out after this year, does this work? Is this something we would want to bring into the contract? Some districts have cut points or triggers that if you go over, then you get this. Some districts do something different. We're looking at that, and this is just one of those examples. So we really appreciate the union wanting to work with us and try it out and see if it works for us or not. Another question that came from the board is, you always want to know combination classes. District-wide, you see the breakdown, we have 17 combination classes. Combination classes are not ideal, we know this. When we have the best teachers working in those classes, it helps. But the reason why, if you notice, all the sites have at least 2. One of the reasons is when we have real strict ratios and we try to have the class sizes be 29 and try not to go over it, you're going to have combos. The other alternative is we have to tell kids who live right across the street, you can't go there, you're going to go to another school. And that's not something we've done, but it's something that we can always talk about. Right now, though, there are combos. And right now, I know the principals are doing a good job to make sure they support those teachers to make sure that it's a real quality experience for the kids. Paraprofessionals is something that probably is on my mind and on the principals' minds more than anything else. I know Sarah Kapler's worked really hard to work with an outside agency. We had 42 para positions in the system that were short. She was able to get 15 from an agency to offset it, so now it's down to 27. We've actually gotten the para test from the county because it's a little hard. So once a month they offer it at the county. We now are offering it now at the district. It's a little bit of a heavy lift for Letty in the front, who works for me, but she's scheduling it. She's trying to get people inside and externally tested because it's a different kind of test than the regular tests. And once they get it done, they can be qualified and we can get them in the system. Second thing is that at the adult school, Eric Barron is working on what I think they had in San Leandro. I know that Dr. Thompson had worked with staff over there. They did a boot camp of some sort to get staff prepared for that because it's not an easy test. And so Eric Barron and his staff are offering that in simultaneously, their exit basically is they come over here and take the test. And so that's one of the things we're working on with the adult school. We're doing different postings. We're doing on Indeed. We've never done Indeed.com. We found out that actually paras in the agency don't even know what EdJoin was. They actually look at Indeed. So we're using Indeed now to see if we can get more hits. The advertising, anything we hear about, I know that Victor is really great about, Victor Guzman is really good about putting out things on social media, better than I've ever experienced in our district before. Whenever I have an idea or anybody in my staff has an idea about posting something, just tell Victor and he gets it out there. He's fantastic. To TK, this is really just a quick snapshot for you. 21-22, we had 12 classes district-wide with 12 teachers, 193 kids. Just so you understand as a context. This year, we have 14 classes with 15 teachers, because one of the classes is an inclusion class at Kitayama that has 2 teachers doing a co-teaching model. And then we have 14 pairs in the system and 237 students. So the more kids we get at the kinder and TK level, the better, because we want them to be with us and having a good experience in TK. Hopefully they'll stay with us for the 13, 14 years. That's the short presentation, but I'll certainly entertain any questions you might have about staffing, TK, or.
Trustee Engineer.
I'm not familiar with the term that you mentioned, which was around contacts. Can you explain what that means?
All right, so in a day, a teacher teaches 5 periods. And what they have in their class, say they have 30 kids in a class, that's 30 contacts.
I see.
And so over the course of 5 periods, 30 times 5, they're gonna have what, 170 kids, hopefully. They're gonna have an average of about 34 in a class. 170 contacts for the whole day is what the number should be. And so when we say 170, that's a cap. We don't have caps like that anywhere else in the contract. And so to say we have a cap like that, they're gonna have a certain number of kids in a day. Some districts try that. We're gonna see how it fits for us. And right now it seems like it's okay. It's really an average of about 34 kids in a class at the 9th grade and the 6th grade level. And most of them are lower than that. Some of them are right at that. There's a couple at the high school that are slightly higher in the honors, because honors, there's not as many sections. And so if you don't, similar to what happened at the elementary level, if you keep it capped at 34, some kids might be denied being in honors, because you're not gonna open a new honors section for kids. And so that's one of the things we're looking at and trying to figure out how to lower that particular teacher's caseload so they can get closer to the 170. That helps.
So is 170 is the cap, is it in the contract?
Not in the contract. That's something we did in that side MOU when we settled the contract, and we rolled it again this year. And so those MOUs last for a year, and it's just something that Joe and I have talked about as we bring things to the committee for class size. That's one of the things we'll look at. Do class size caps or contacts, does that make sense? And it's something that seems to be working, but I don't know that in the contract if it belongs, but the committee will help decide that.
Yes, thank you. One more. I appreciate that we have, paras in the EK class at least, yeah. It's, this is first-hand experience myself, it's very hard for the little ones to have with one teacher, and we need to have that class. I appreciate that.
For those of us who have been to see the TK classes, you're right. I've never thought that would be true, but they need it more than most.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
They do.
Thank you.
Questions?
That's it.
Okay, I have one. More of a clarification on the high school level. Remember the honor classes. So in a more academic class, one of the main, the core requirements, is there a threshold above which you decide, okay, we have this many extra students, we should add a section?
Yeah, I don't know that the high school methodology may change based on who's doing the master schedule, but typically if you have 30 kids, that's going to be another class. But I think that reasonableness is, if there's a sprinkling of, you get to about 18 to 20, and because all the classes are pushing 40, that's too much. And so that especially right now, the principal and the VP over Logan will say to me, hey, we really need to squeeze out one more section, which is about $20,000 for one period. And then I have to look at my bullpen and say, do we have the money to do that? And then we will figure out, if you need it strategically, can you pull from anywhere else at the site, like, or at Logan? Do you really need it? If you need it, we don't want classes sitting at 40, we can help it. And then that's a case where we would give it. And then Logan has to make that case, but they're really good about that. Rania used to do it when she was the VP, and now Alicia Albert is, and they're very good at it. They're very smart, and they really understand it. And I think that when they ask through Ron Polk, I know they've done their homework to advocate for it. So we really do try to be as permissive as possible to give them that support, because we don't want class sizes huge. But sometimes there's a reason why classes are a little bigger, like band and such. We really don't want academic classes too monstrous, but sometimes there are good reasons for it. It's not because we just want higher class sizes.
Okay, thank you very much. And we will be skipping section 11 as we have no public hearings on this agenda. So we will be going to section 12, information items. Our next item is 12.1, our board resolution update, and I will hand that over to Dr. Thompson. Yes.
All right, so this month we were featuring the activities at our school sites that went on during our Eliminate Hate Speech campaign kickoff week. And what happened at all of our sites, all of our sites were given a variety of options for activities. And it was kind of fun to see what sites selected to do, and every site did something different. For example, if you go to Kiriyama is first, I think. Here we go, there we go. Kiriyama, they focused on their sign pledge banner, or different, I think it was every class that did these banners and put them out. If you walk around, you can see these hanging up in different places. Logan focused on their kindness, and they were the wristbands that they had. I don't know if you got one. If you don't, I had one. They're great. Shoot, I have to get more stuff. So that was one of their big initiatives, and it was fun seeing the kids wearing those to spread the word that way. Hillview Crest had we provided these for all the sites, and they really focused their energy this way on their signs and having students pledge and sign each of the banners. They also, that's right, they had the coloring pages as well. CCHS, again, as students walked in, signing the pledge to eliminate hate speech. Pioneer, the same, slightly different approaches at each of our sites. And let's see, did Ms. Holiday have her podcast on this one? I don't remember.
In this presentation that you did.
I think she did that podcast on this one too. Anyway, they had a variety of activities there, focused on kindness and friendship. And that was Pioneer. What was it? Oh, IBCMS. Again, putting up their signs and their posters all around the school. Cyril's their whole campaign that Principal Rokaj launched. So a number of different things they did there. And I think that's an active link, if I remember right. So you can go in there and actually scroll through her activities through that link. Emmanuel had they took it to a different level with a DJ and had their kickoff. DJ Hightop was there. I missed DJ Hightop, President Mallory. You heard it from your house if you will, but I don't know, maybe not. They had their kickoff dance, they had their walk and roll to eliminate hate, and lots of different things there. Some fun pictures. And I think is that a live link too in this video, or oh no? I don't remember. Anyway, they had all kinds of fun things going on there. And then Alvarado, again, more signs. Signs were popular. Kids made their own. Kids signed the ones that we provided. And let's see. Oh, all right. Well, there's me. Okay. So I made a video speaking to this as well, and some people took advantage of that and used it at the back to school nights. Easton, bullying prevention and footprint activity. And I think that covered all of our sites. So it was a great launch. Again, this isn't a one and done activity. The goal is to have monthly activities for all of our sites. So you'll see this come back from time to time throughout the year.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Thompson. It was great to see all the activities of student engagement during Eliminate Hate Speech Week. Do you have any comments or?
Thank you, Daphne.
Okay. Cool. So, moving on to item 12.2, our annual investment report for fiscal year 2021-2022. Do we have a presentation?
It's just an information item. It's just an annual document that we have to present. It really doesn't have much information in it.
Do you have any questions on this? Okay. 12.3 are items from the board and superintendent. I did warn our student members may be asked to introduce themselves, but I will let them go last so that they can see how we do first. All right, Dr. Thompson, do you want to go first?
Sure, I'd love to. So Narcan, I just keep bringing that back up because we haven't forgotten about it. There was an interest in having that, the ability of our school sites to provide that if needed. And one of our nurses is the point person on this. She's working with the county. It requires the county public health officer to do something, create something called a standing order. And then there has to be an MOU with the county. And that was in progress. We're kind of at the mercy of the county of it because they have to do these things before we can even go about trying to see how we can procure Narcan and use it. But unfortunately, our nurse has been out. So she's due back at the end of the month, and we kind of got stalled with that. And I don't believe that the county has the standing order, and I haven't seen the MOU from it, but it's just one of those, still a work in progress moving forward. 3 days coming up to put on your calendar, Metstret on Saturday the 24th. The Science in the Park, that's now at Cal State East Bay, as you probably know. Last I heard, they were looking for elected officials to participate in the Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader competition. So if you haven't, I don't know, that's kind of intimidating, but are you good?
It's actually fun. We used to do that, and we used to get money for our district. We won the last one.
Really? Okay.
$5,000.
We're smarter than fifth grade. I love it. That's good. Okay.
It was not called that. It was, we were doing, landing the eggs without.
Right. So that should be fun. And then definitely something to put on your calendar, the UCF's 10-year anniversary, our family center on Friday, the 14th. It is also a bit of a, like not a job fair, a community resource fair. And I thought it might be a great opportunity for the board. You know how we set up last time with our different areas, either to have a table where we're all there, or if you would like, you can set up, we can do it by trustee area and have it there. So that is at 3:30, 5:30.
You mean 16th of September?
I'm sorry, 14th of October, if I said that. 3:30 to 5:30. So that's one to, and we'll put something out. I'll have Lori help me put something out to figure out what you want to do as a board.
And there's no school, James Union School is
No, I'm just.
Yeah.
No, okay.
October 14th.
It's a Friday the 14th.
Yeah.
So just something to think about. We'll put out more information about that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's see. As President Angela said, we had the perfect storm of HVAC issues. One of the things that I don't know if people realize, but for COVID purposes, we took the external air intake. It's normally runs at 20%, but during COVID, we opened it up to 100%. So during that hot spell, we had not only our HVAC systems running through the Fickermer 13 filters, but we had 100% external air coming in. And when it got to over 100 degrees, even all of our functioning units, they just couldn't keep up with it. So we're going to have to make, even with our units, and by and large, the units across the district were functioning. The problem was, in some places, it just couldn't keep air fast enough because of the 100% outside air. So I think what we learned is in situations like that, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to make a compromise. We're gonna have to go back, maybe we don't go back to 20%. Because again, that's how a normal HVAC system works, but maybe we cut it back on those days from 100% outside air to 50%. So we're compromising between having fresh air come in and just giving our cooling systems a chance to cool it. So that was one of the challenges we faced and we learned. The other one is that for the units that are in need of repair, we just simply, our staff has done a great job in the past of keeping them together, but with the new demands that, remember, we're running them 2 hours before and 2 hours after school, plus at 100% air, plus through these filters, it's put a demand on our system that's, we just can't keep up with. So, Jason Rogers and his team are on it, and we're looking at, we know this isn't gonna be the last time. So we will be ready for the next time to the degree we can be in all of these ways. But anyway, it was really tough to walk through classes and see that. But anyway, we survived and we'll do better next time. And with that, I'd just like to welcome both of our new board members. So congratulations on your position. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Would anybody like to go next?
Yes, sir.
Okay, trustee Kendall.
First of all, thank you for doing the State of the District address. It is always nice to look back and see what we have accomplished before we move forward. That way, we don't repeat things and just improve whatever we have. Also, next, I would like to thank for the possible resolution for the Filipino American History Month. Thank you for putting that on the agenda. I just want to share with our team, I don't think I've shared this before, that the Filipino American National Historical Society East Bay has collaborated with New Haven Unified School District in celebrating Filipino American History Month on October 29th at Leon Veracruz. That's a Saturday from 1 to 5. And we have a huge slate of speakers, performers, and I'm hoping that our students from the community, that is, not only in Union City, but outside Union City from the Alameda County. I'm hoping also that our students and staff even maybe could be a part of that. So let me know, since I'm in between a member of the organization and I'm here too, I'm coordinating the program. So let me know if you want to be a part of it. It should be a very fun day and great learning about the history of the Filipino Americans in our society.
One more time.
October 29th. We love to see you there.
You
Trustee
have
Mel?
application?
Yeah, Leon Veracruz.
Yeah, that's middle school last time.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, we're still, we're gonna be working on logistics soon, right, Mr. Rogers? So you're all invited to come, please do come. And Trustee Mallory, if you want to be part of that too and sing something, let me know.
These songs in Tagalog.
Oh, we can give you CDs to look at. If you want. Share and commend our communication group, our social media, and thank Victor, because I've really gotten a lot of great feedback from the community about what we have added in our district. And it's just really wonderful for people to not really be asking me questions about what's happening anymore. It's more like, hey, I saw this. It's so great that our kids are doing this and that and that. And then I have a student on one of the events I attended over the weekend. He graduated from Logan over 10 years ago. And he doesn't even live here anymore. And he says, hey, Ms. Gallis, I'm getting email from you guys still, and I know what's going on. It's not wonderful. He said, I can't believe it. He said, I've been gone for 10 years and I've not been forgotten, and I know what's going on at Logan. So I thought I'd share that, because a lot of times we hear all the negatives and we hardly hear a lot of positives. So I wanted to share the positive part. And also, I'm also glad to hear that we're addressing the needs of the classrooms when we are challenged by that heat. We had a lengthy conversation about that when it was happening. How are our students doing? So I'm really glad that we're looking at that and looking at the possible number of people who will be addressing challenges as it comes, because I think we need more. We need to increase that number. And again, welcome. It's going to be a fun year.
Thank you. Trustee Nation, would you like to come in?
Yeah, I don't have a lot, since, Dr. Thompson kind of talked about some of the events that I was gonna talk about, but it's all good. But I also want to welcome the student board members, welcome. If you guys need anything at all, just let us know. And you have my personal contact information, so if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I always like to talk to students because students give us the insights that we don't get from being here in the district office or up on the dais. So it's a critical voice. That's all I have.
Okay, trustee Cheney, thank you. So many other things has been mentioned already. I appreciate also all of the staff, coming together, making this new year successful with extremely hard days in the last week. So I got some maintenance requests from Pioneer Elementary School. Some of the parents, they called me, I will share it later on, but I knew that at the time that, our people, they were busy there, so I just did not escalate to the district at the time. So it's good to know that our social media, our website presence and communications, everything is getting better. So thank you so much to the superintendent, all of the staff, technology team, our leaders today. They were here, the principals and our administration staff. So system is becoming whole. I can feel it. And another thing is barely having some vacancies, in our system, while other school districts, they are struggling, they are offering bonuses, offering bonuses. I cannot believe it this time in my lifetime. There are Facebook forums, asking for the teachers and all kind of staff positions. So we're glad that we have all the staff available, and remaining positions, they are in the process of being filled up. Overall, it feels so good about our district, especially after pandemic and before there were not so pleasant events in the history of our district. So I am so glad all of us, we are coming together to serve our community and our students. So I have been in the volunteer work as a teacher in one of our classes. So because of the situation, last minute situation we were in, and I really appreciate even more now being and seeing, interacting the staff, the professionalism, and our students. Believe me, I'm really impressed. Sometimes I have been forgetting at times that, how the big system, because we are up here and we are not supposed to leave, but I have seen that first-hand experience. So I really appreciate even more that how professional our staff is. All of our teachers are so supporting each other, helping each other, and helping the students. I have appreciation for all of our students and our staff. Thank you.
I will go next. And Member Goodman is on deck. First of all, yes, I really enjoyed the State of the District address. It did a very good job of just putting into focus some of all this hard work that, our teachers, our staff, our board, everybody, we've been working together to make New Haven Unified School District the best district in the Bay Area. And I'm experiencing that, it's campaign season. Please make sure you're registered to vote, or pre-registered. And I'm going around and meeting other board members from other districts, people who are running for school board, and they've all heard of New Haven Unified School District. They've all heard about our bargaining with our teachers union and our relationship with them, and they're in favor. And we've worked really hard. And so I think we should be really proud of ourselves. That doesn't mean we're perfect. We still have things to work on. Or else we wouldn't be here at the board meeting. So I just really want to thank the staff and everybody for putting together the presentation that we had. I want to thank most likely Ms. Valdez and other staff who organized the reception. It was amazing. And it was great to be able to just have some social time with the people who attended. So the next thing, I'm usually always talking about my coffee with the trustee. We did not have that in September because the venue closed, and so please TBD for a change in venue for next month. And then I am looking forward to attending the muskrat with my 3 dogs. I'll be participating in Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Science in the Park. And I look forward to these other 2 events that we just found out about. And I would like to welcome our new student members. You are a valuable part of our board because you give us a perspective that we don't see, because you're in there with other students every day. And you really see things from a very good perspective. So we do want to hear from you. We encourage that. Please, I will give you both my card, which has my, so please reach out to me and reach out to staff if you have any questions. This should be a wonderful learning experience for you. And any of us would be happy to provide mentorship, information, explain things, all of that, because we really want you to be enriched by your experience on the board. So with that, both of us. 2, yes.
My name is Sunny Goodman, and I would like to thank the board for the hate speech campaign, because me personally, I dealt with it in the past, and I've heard about other people dealing with it, and the fact that you recognized it and was like addressing it, it made me really happy. I was a little caught off guard, but really happy nonetheless. And I don't know how my future schedules are going to be, but I do going to Filipino history and celebration.
School and your grade?
Oh, I represent Conley Carabello High School. I am a senior there. And I hope to graduate because school is a mess.
All right, next we have our new member, Khan.
Hi everyone, so my name is Mohanur Khan, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm a senior at James Logan High School. So a little bit more about me is that I'm originally from Pakistan and like have moved around the world before like coming here to the United States. And then a little bit more about like my journey as becoming the student board member is that for James Logan we elected through like a school vote. So then I had been part of leadership and like I'd been to a few meetings last year, and then I chose to run for this position because like I felt I could serve the student body and like bring like a student voice to the board, voicing the concerns and comments and building a bridge. And then a little bit more, I also enjoy playing tennis. That's why I was a little late today. And then doing anything arts and crafts. So then I'm also like an editor-in-chief for a yearbook this year. And then I'm excited to be here and looking forward to a great year. I have a report, so.
Oh, please, yes, give us your report.
Okay, so then first with the Eliminate Hate campaign, so Logan had its kickoff, and then we did the little pieces of kindness, so which we gave out granola bars and like positive affirmations right as students walked in, so like a good start to their morning. And then the Eliminate Hate slideshow was discussed in classes the following day. And then so I'm working with Mr. Malcolm for this month's activity, and then we're also planning on having like a Eliminate Hate pop-up at our like club fair next Thursday. So still working towards that. We also had our class ticket. So leadership reviewed our school theme and the class themes the same like Wednesday. It was August 24th. So the overarching themes, if you guys are interested, is dream teams. And then so seniors are the Inside Out Emotions. Juniors are Big Hero 6, sophomores are Stranger Things, and the freshmen are Minions or just with the freshmen. Yeah, so then class cabs also sold like food and fun race for upcoming events the same day. And yeah, it was a good event. We also had our back to school rally, which we haven't done in like a while. So that it was on August 26th, which our spirit commissioners hosted. So it was like a fun way to welcome back all the students and introduce like our admin, the ASB cabinet position holders who do like a lot around the school. So then we also had a student teacher dance with Jimmy. So like a few teachers came out and then we did like a performance. The cheer team also performed, and then we had like a series of games where like students were participating and watching. We also had like our first like student section. We had the first home football game. So then it was on September 2nd, where we basically had like pom-poms, necklaces, and chants for students participating, and it was like a great and lively weekend of the week. We did end up winning the game, which is great. And then we are planning another neon themed student section for the next game. Yeah, if you guys are interested in coming to that. And then club recruitment fair. So we just had a club recruitment fair today, September 13th, where clubs like set up booths in Cold Court, and like we're trying to like recruit new members for their clubs and like tell a little bit about like what their club is about. And so we'll do another one on Thursday, September 15th, this Thursday, and then we're gonna have the Illuminate Gay pop-up there as well. And then something we have planned is a 9 to 6 lunch market and multicultural food festival. So ESSJ, which is the Ethnic Studies and Social Justice Academy, and leadership. So we're currently working on bringing together like cultures through this 9 to 6 lunch market. So the idea behind this is that a small section in LA, they provide like an annual opportunity for different cultures and individuals from different parts of the world to gather and provide a cuisine from their cultures and regions, all selling food on the same street. So as the name suggests, it will be on September 26th during both lunches, where again, clubs and like any programs, so like leadership and like ESSJ will also be participating by selling like different types of food to bring like the already popularized idea of a 96 market to Logan. And then we also have our first school side council meeting this Thursday. And then just a little bit of update regarding the new systems that have been put into place. So like Aries and like our student IDs are on the Mega app recently. So with Aries, students and teachers are still like figuring it out, and it's like been a little frustrating getting the hang of it. But the digital IDs on the Mega app are actually have been going pretty well. And then and then lastly, I just wanted to acknowledge September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And yeah, thanks for having me, and let's have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much for such a great report.
Can I get the date one more time from the lunch at the 26th?
9/26. You're very busy. All right. My computer's on. Okay, so next we have our committee reports.
Don't forget, Trustee Gonzalez.
Oh, Trustee Gonzalez, do you have anything?
Yes, just want to welcome the new student trustees. I wish I was there in person. Being on Zoom doesn't do it justice. Everybody's real blurry, and yeah, just looking forward to working with you.
Almost forgot you.
That was
Thank you.
it?
That is it.
Thank you. Trustee Gonzalez has a back to school night tonight. He's joining us remotely from his classroom. So, okay, moving on now to our committee reports. Our first would be from the Budget and Finance Committee. Member Camus, do you have a report?
Let me see if Trustee Gonzalez would like to start first, so he doesn't fall asleep. Would you like to start sharing what we talked about at the last meeting, Trustee Gonzalez?
No, go ahead. Go ahead and lead us there. I'm sorry, I don't have my notes in front of me.
All right. One of the things we talked about is a proposal from AT&T to put a tower at Logan. So we are exploring that possibility right now. And I'm sure we will ask for your input at some point when Ms. Heldman have the information when she does the research and sent it to us. We also talked about the unedited actuals, which you heard about, and I'm not gonna repeat, because it takes a long time. Last thing we talked about was possible renaming of the committee, the facilities, the budget committee to possibly Facilities Technology Finance Committee, FTF, with your input, of course. So moving forward, that would be something we will be discussing with the team. Okay. Would you like to add anything, Trustee Gonzalez?
No, you, can you repeat the acronym again?
Facilities Technology Finance Company, FTFC.
Yep, no, nothing else to add.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then next is Communication and Advocacy Committee.
We haven't had a meeting. Our next meeting is this Thursday on the 15th, which, by the way, I'll probably only be able to stay for about a half an hour.
Thank you for letting us know. Last meeting was held on August 30th. And we have 3 new policies recommended for adoption, which will be coming up in our one regarding electronic signatures, one regarding environmental education, and one regarding vice president. Since we've added a vice president, we needed to add a description of a job description for that. So we hope you will approve them, and then we have many items in the consent calendar, just policies that we're revising. So you'll see, you've probably already seen them. Do you have any other committee reports? School Foundation? Oh, Trustee Chin.
Yeah, Mission Valley RP, we had our meeting last Thursday. Our first meeting, and this was the first time we met after the pandemic in person. And we have been every month, this was expired, then we have been extending because of the availability of the other group. So this was the first time we met in person. And Mission Valley RP, maybe we have approved the budget like we are doing it here. So budget wise, because of the CTEC grants we have been getting. So the financial support from, because of the pandemic from the state. So budget wise, we are doing okay. It's doing okay. So they are not asking for more money. Whatever we have with the districts, all 3 districts, Fremont, New York, and Union City, we have the contract. So that's good for now. From the Mission Valley RP, and then with the city and school district grant, we have a meeting next Monday scheduled. And also next Tuesday, I have a Navy Parents Advisory Committee meeting on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday.
We rescheduled the joint district city council.
Rescheduled?
It's been moved to October 3rd.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. I have to check my. It was on my calendar.
Yeah.
And then we have SALPA meeting, I think I forgot the date. It's coming up. The SALPA meeting sometime next week or maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Because it's the beginning of the year, so we are second meetings. Nothing else to report.
Thank you. Trustee Shakir.
Yeah, actually not much to report from the foundation other than the mutt trip that's coming up on the 24th. I will be bringing our new dog, our new family dog, Arya, will be there with our 3 dogs.
Yeah.
So we will be one.
What
We
kind
will
of
be
dog?
strutting, a border collie,
Oh,
Picture the strut.
a border collie mutt kind of thing.
Go on with my dog. Okay. Very high energy dogs.
Yes. as we're learning.
The border collies are super high energy. You need to get on my treadmill. Okay, trustee Campbell. Do you have any committees to report for? I'll be doing access. Okay, AXPA, which is the Alameda County School Boards Association, invites you, including our student board members, to our October 20th Zoom meeting. It's Thursday, October 20th at 6 p.m. And I will send the Eventbrite link to Ms. Valdez to distribute to the board so that you can RSVP and get the Zoom link. For that, please join us. I think that's it. All right, we are on to section 14, action items. So item 14.1. Do I have a motion and second to approve the 2022-2023 revised global control accountability plan and clarifying questions? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 If there are any opposed, please say nay. Are there any abstentions? Okay, it is unanimously passed. Thank you. Item 14.2, may I have a motion and a second to adopt the proposed budget for the 2022-2023 school year and resolution number 081-2122, designating portions of general fund ending balance as committed fund balance.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Are there any abstentions? All right, it is passed unanimously. Item 14.3. May I have a motion and a second to approve the unaudited actual financial report for fiscal year 2021-2022? Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that passes unanimously. 14.4, we have, may I have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 011-2223, Filipino Heritage Month.
So moved. History Month.
History Month, sorry,
So moved.
Second.
okay. Would somebody like to read the resolution? Member Camus.
Thank you. New Haven Unified School District Resolution Number 011-2223, Filipino American History Month, October 2022. Whereas this is an appropriate time to promote and reflect on the richness of Filipino and Filipino American history and culture, and to provide all Americans with an opportunity to learn and appreciate and honor the Filipino Americans and their history and social contributions to the history of the United States. Whereas our New Haven Unified School District is the first in the nation to name a school after Filipino farm labor leaders, Larry DeYoung and Philip De La Cruz. And whereas it is necessary to instill in our youth the importance of education, history, and ethnicity in creating eminent proud cultural identity and producing exceptional citizens of this nation. And whereas the Filipino American National Historical Society established Filipino American History Month in 1988, and subsequently every October, several communities throughout the United States and its territories have celebrated this occasion to commemorate the anniversary of the presence of the first Filipinos in United States soil, and to observe its heritage and recognize the social, intellectual, and economic contributions of Filipinos and Filipino Americans in this country. And whereas Filipino American servicemen and servicewomen have long-standing history of serving to protect and defend this country in the armed forces from the Civil War. And whereas the earliest documented evidence of Filipinos in continental United States occurred in October 18, 1587, when mariners called Luzones Indios under Spanish command landed in Morro Bay, California, and whereas today, the Filipino American community is the second largest Asian American group in the United States with an estimated population of 3,400,000 people. And whereas our city of Union City has an estimated population of 14,000 Filipinos and Filipino Americans who have had a profound impact on California's history, values, and culture. And whereas the Filipino community played an important role in Union City's rich agricultural history, thereby helping to shape its landscape. And whereas immigrants from the Philippines and their families truly have enriched our nation through their work in agriculture, their service in armed forces, their contributions of skills and expertise as engineers, scientists, accountants, teachers, lawyers, nurses, and doctors, and their participation in public offices, civil affairs, and community activities. And whereas Filipino American History Month was first proclaimed by the 111th Congress of the United States in November 2009, now therefore be it hereby resolved that New Haven Unified School District hereby issues this proclamation in honor and recognition of October 2022 as Filipino American History Month, passed and adopted by the following full vote this 30th day of September 2022.
Thank you very much. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? It passes unanimously. We're on to item 14.5. May I have a motion in a second to pass resolution number 012-2223, LGBTQIA+ History Month, October 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Wonderful. Unless anybody else wants to read the resolution, I will go ahead. All right. So New Haven Unified School District Resolution number 012-2223, LGBTQIA+ History Month, October 2022. Whereas Rodney Wilson, a high school teacher from St. Louis, founded the first LGBT History Month in 1994 to celebrate and teach lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender history, now known as LGBTQIA+ history. And whereas October is a significant month in LGBTQIA+ history, with National Coming Out Day on October 11th, LGBTQIA+ Awareness Day on October 19th, Intersex Awareness Day October 26th, and Asexual Awareness Week the last week of October. And as the first and second national marches on Washington for lesbian and gay rights were held in October of 1979 and 1987 respectively. And whereas the LGBTQIA+ community has contributed to advancing civil rights in the United States and globally, as exemplified by Rustin, an openly gay African-American man who was active for decades in the civil rights and peace movements, risked his life in anti-racist protest, and worked as an organizer and strategist with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And whereas there's an intersection of identities between the LGBTQIA+ communities and Hispanic communities who both celebrate and honor their history during October, including notable members of both communities such as Sylvia Rivera, Frida Kahlo, Reynaldo Arenas, Dennis de Leon, Gloria Evangelina Anzaldúa, and Pedro Zamora. And whereas the history of national LGBTQIA+ rights also were catalyzed by the Stonewall Uprising on June 28, 1969 in New York City in response to police harassment and discrimination led by transgender activists Rivera and Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson, who also created a trans rights group and maintained a place of refuge for LGBTQIA+ homeless youth. And whereas the history of national LGBTQIA+ rights was also catalyzed by the Compton's cafeteria riots in August of 1966 in the Tenderloin district of San Francisco, led by transgender women of color in response to violent and constant police harassment of drag queens and transgender people. And whereas the New Haven Unified School District remains committed to its mission of providing equitable student learning and achievement, academic excellence, and workforce development by delivering high-quality educational programs and support services to our diverse communities, which includes LGBTQIA+ communities. Now therefore be it resolved that the New Haven Unified School District Board of Education hereby honors our gay, bisexual, transgender, two-spirit, pansexual, asexual, intersex, genderqueer, non-binary, and queer communities, and reaffirms our commitment to creating an environment in which all individuals are supported and nurtured. And be it further resolved that the New Haven Unified School District recognizes October 2022 as LGBTQIA+ History Month and will fly the pride flag at all district locations for the month of October. Passed and adopted this 13th day of September of 2022 by the following vote. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Item 14.6. May I have a motion and a second to expel student number 1?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. This is a closed item, a closed session item, so there will not be any open discussion, and student members do not vote on issues that affect students. So, okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. Trustee. All right, 14.7, may I have a motion and a second to approve new board policy B-3523 electronic signatures? Okay, any discussion? On, yes, okay,
So there will not be any hard copy signatures?
No, some will still be hard copy, but it just officially affirms that we can use
Okay.
electronic.
Yes, thank you.
okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. May I have a motion and second to approve new board policy I-6142.5 environmental education?
Second.
Any discussion?
No discussion if, I know the chance to read this, we can have, somebody can. We are having this policy. I know we send it in the policy committee, but if, I will appreciate that if you can just, advise us.
This is a policy that is required by policy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So that's why we're doing it.
Just for the want to let it go.
We have to do it.
Yeah.
So now we're voting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries unanimously. Item 14.9, we're requesting, do I have a motion and a second to approve new board policy BB-9121.1 vice president?
And second,
Okay, any discussion? Comment?
yes. Thank you for clarifying the, you have been written.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? The motion carries unanimously. We're on item 14.10. May I have a motion and a second to approve a memorandum of understanding with Alameda Alliance for Health for Student Behavioral Health Incentive Program for 2022-23, 2023-24, and 2024-25. Okay, is there any discussion?
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries unanimously. We're now at section 15, which is our consent agenda items. And just a little education for our new members. The consent agenda is approved all at once. Unless any member, and we all have the right to do so, decides to pull an item for separate discussion.
And it's a whole vote.
So, are there any? Trustee Gonzalez has his hand up. Are there any items on which trustees would like pulled for a separate vote? Trustee Gonzalez.
Yes, I would like to pull 15.12. This is lactation accommodation.
All right. Are there any other items which trustees would like for separate vote? Okay, seeing none. May I have a motion to approve items 15.1 through 15.11 and 15.13 through 15.18?
So second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions. Okay, the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to section 16, discussion and action on items removed from the consent agenda. May I have a motion and a second to approve the revised board policy P-4033 lactation accommodation?
So moved.
We can move and second, then we can have the discussion.
Yeah, discussion, please.
There's a second? There's a second? Okay, second.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Okay.
And you both moved at the same time, so we'll consider Trustee Gonzalez the mover and Trustee Chima the second. Okay,
That's fine.
okay. Any discussion?
Discussion.
Trustee Gonzalez, yes.
Yeah, I just more of a information item, some information about, I brought this forward to the policy committee, and this hits really home for me as someone who left for paternity leave. And in my district, there was a lot of information. We got a PDF on paternity leave, but when we got back, there was no information about lactation accommodation. You had to research that on your own. And so just a big learning curve for my wife and I. And I've checked in with multiple districts on how they do it. I even got in contact with the California Teaching Association women's chair and asked them about this. And so it's about strengthening our policy and making it easier for mothers that need lactation accommodations, a lot easier for them, and stop the stigmatizing when it comes to breastfeeding. And so that's where this came out of. And we would have and it's not that much, but we would have some of the first tighter policy, even though there is policy, even though there is ed code and law out there, but this would strengthen our policy. We'd have some of the strongest policy on this lactation accommodation, in the state. So I'd ask you to approve this. And we had a lengthy discussion in our policy committee about this. So that's where this has come from.
Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez. Any further discussion?
Just a comment. Thank you, Member Gonzalez, for giving us the context, and thank you so much for your work to bring this policy forward. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I would also like to thank you, Trustee Gonzalez, for using your personal experience to make our district even better, and another way that we're the best district in the on all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries unanimously. Okay, now we're on 17.1, assessment of governance procedures and protocols. I would like to personally apologize. I forgot to have discussion on our first action item. I'm not sure there would have been any if I'd asked, but I did miss that, so I call myself out on that. Does anybody else have any other items?
Maybe for votes where student board members can't vote, for example, the expulsion, maybe we'll call the vote for that one,
Okay,
maybe, just as an
yeah,
suggestion.
good to keep Mr. McNamara on his toes. Other suggestions, comments?
The student case we had, I like the summary and the way the title, the sheet was presenting what is on which page, because it's lengthy, 50-something pages. So I appreciate the new kind of writing the narrative and different sections addressing different parts of the law. So I like that. But still there is some room for improvement. Missing information in the narrative. So which, just keep reading it, and then, for example, if somebody is telling the story to a person like us, then there's some missing loopholes, so you just make it better, that's all. But it was much, much better, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Moving to board consensus items, 18.1 board member requests. Do you have any requests? Trustee Nishihira.
Yep, so the name of the request is a monthly celebration plan. And the request is for staff to create a table and circulate it at the beginning of every year with a table of all the planned monthly celebrations, right? So that way we kind of have a view of like what month gets what type of celebration. In addition, let's see, time, expected outcome. So like a written table that actually has the months and the celebrations so that we can kind of identify what that is up front. And also maybe an additional piece of information for each one, if there's an appropriate flag that can be flown during each time. I know some will be a little bit more challenging than others because maybe there's not like a flag that necessarily represents that. So maybe that is something we can kick over to the equity task force to kind of, to identify which flags, if possible, are good candidates for different celebrations. I know that might be, in some cases there might not be any, but just so if there are some flags that we can have kind of a good diverse set of celebrations. So that'd be something that I'd ask maybe staff to look into.
Just a clarifying question, you're talking about the monthly resolutions.
Correct. Yeah. That's what I like.
Yeah, we are. I think we could put that together. So do we have consensus on that? Is that?
Yeah, just
I
clarifying
believe-
question. So you're saying, let's say Hispanic, historic heritage month, so that month you'll be flying the flag.
Or more, sometimes they're months, sometimes they're days, sometimes it's like a day of awareness for this thing. Just something that we kind of have a full idea of what the annual what the annual calendar looks like, so that we can kind of see what they all are in one. I mean, maybe we could just do it for this year, but ordinarily, maybe at the beginning of every fiscal year, we kind of kick off the year with like just a calendar of knowing what we're going to celebrate when, so that we kind of expect it.
And the table will be in the district office or?
Or it could be circulated among the board or whatever.
I think it's a paper.
Yeah, it's just be paper.
It would be a document,
Got it.
like a table
Oh, I see.
on a PDF, not
Oh,
a
no.
I
table
was picturing
physically.
celebrations, so.
No, not like a table, but just like a chart, just so that we know like.
But the reason I was thinking that way is because you was talking about what they were
Oh,
doing
yeah.
at Logan, so I was kind of.
Yeah, we were thinking which table, yeah, okay. Member Goodman, I saw your hand up.
I want to like do something special for Black. Because there's like a lot of like Black people in recent and past times that have helped us get the rights that we have now. And we already know about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, we already know about Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman. And there's a lot of lesser known people that have helped fight for our rights. And I want to like a request to like maybe get like an information table or something like that, or just an information like poster. Because I believe it's important to recognize that there are still more people than like 5 that
Keep using the 5.
yeah, and it's been like that for years.
Yeah.
I want to start recognizing one of the not one of the lesser ones, but many of the lesser knowns,
Mhm.
because they deserve much as recognition as Martin Luther King.
You can definitely work with us on the Black History Month resolution. I edited the LGBTQ plus History Month resolution to add some lesser known, icons in our history. And that is a good example of a month that has a flag as the Pan-African colors, which represents, everyone. So, yeah, let's work on that.
Can we, if I could just, this,
But that's
when these
not
things
the,
keep
yeah.
coming in like this is, so if we just take them one at a time. that would be-
Yeah, no,
Sorry,
this is in
sorry.
relation to Lance's.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I also
So-
have like a second suggestion. We can probably like fly flags, not like on flagpoles, but like because there is flags that African Americans have. Maybe for Black History Month, we can like show people those flags. Because there's more than one.
Well, we can work on that in conjunction with Lance's item. Is this in regards to Lance's item?
So, thank you for the suggestion, because sometimes what have happened that staff has forgotten to bring the resolutions. So if we have a table, then for the like this month, we better for the staff. And also, because we already started some of the activities, the staff already have, what we did is just for the information of the new student board members there. We used to have just the resolutions. So then we asked the staff to have some activities done in the schools and reflect back to us, bring back to us what was done about those resolutions. So maybe if we can ask our superintendent, if what else we can do about the suggestions you are saying.
Yeah, I would also add that the staff has been working very hard, especially Mr. Pizzani's team, on supplemental curriculums for each of our celebrations. So there's age appropriate supplemental materials on a website that we put together for the district, for the teachers to look at and to help them with educating their students about the various months that we are recognizing.
So one of the things we could do with that is we could share that with you, and you could actually go through and have some choice in that if you want. You could go through and see which names you think would be most fitting, and we can incorporate those in the resolution. So we'll do that as we get closer to that. That's in January, so maybe before we'll work on that with you.
Before winter break.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So it seems like we have consensus on this request.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'll send it also to you in writing. I've got it written down, so that way it's clear.
That shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, the dates and the resolutions are easy, and we'll have to do a little research on the flags.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying, like, there might be some that there are multiple flags, right? So maybe there's the United Farm Workers flag, maybe there's, but like, having a good, a diverse catalog to draw from would be really good, because every time you look at a flag that's new, it would be good to ask that question, what does that actually mean? And so being able to use this as an awareness tool for all different types of celebrations, I think would be a good.
Like we could kick it to a communication advocacy to take a look at.
I just gave myself a lot of.
Well, it makes sense. It is advocacy.
too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Alright. So we'll put that together. Sarah.
Yeah.
That's a lot. We're gonna be very, very good looking at our school sites, with our amazing flags. I think it's a great idea because you see the flag and you're like, well, what is that flag? And then you go Google it and it actually educates the entire community, not just our students. All right, so any other requests from staff?
Okay, great.
Trustee
Thank
Chair.
So, one thing I would like to ask is, before the pandemic, there was some conversation when we brought our first Spanish dual language program, and then dual language master program, then we brought Mandarin. So after that, we had some discussion about the Punjabi language dual program. So I'm asking the board if then pandemic happened, so then everything was stopped. So I'm asking that if board thinks is that if the staff can explore if that such a program can be sustainable, if we want to do, how we will do it. So I'm asking board's consensus to ask the staff if they can explore the option for Punjabi language dual immersion program.
I believe that our dual immersion programs have greatly enriched our students and communities as well as helped the district. And I think the Punjabi dual immersion program would only increase that and make our district even better.
I have no objections, but I'd like to know, from the staff,
Staff.
how labor intensive that would be.
This is not a new topic, so we've looked into it before that we do not have the ability to do a full Punjabi dual language immersion program. The resources aren't there, last I checked, and I'll double check to make sure, but this is something I was very interested in as well. What we were talking about pre-pandemic was seeing if there was some type of Punjabi cultural pathway we could put through. But as far as our two dual immersion programs, Mandarin and Spanish, are pathways towards a biliteracy seal on your diploma, and there's no pathway for that right now from Punjabi. We can't create that. So, but we can take a look at what other options might be there, and that's kind of where we left it pre-pandemic, and of course everything went crazy.
Yeah.
So we can take a look at that, but I know now that we cannot set up, we do not have the ability, there aren't the resources to set up the same kind of program we have for Mandarin or Spanish or Punjabi.
I'm just curious, when you say resources, are you talking people, are you talking curriculum, like what, can you expand on that?
And I'll think of Mr. Pizzani to add to it, that there are the curriculum and the this is where I think this is one of the things I kicked to her, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Pizzani, but the curriculum and the resources that are structured in a way to go TK-12 to a biliteracy seal they don't exist right now, not in a form that we can use. That's right, and we'll double check. I have absolutely no problem. Maybe things have changed in a couple of years.
Yeah, so one thing, I know we will discuss, just one comment I would like to make is I checked about the biliteracy seal for the Punjabi language. If the students take the Punjabi language for 4 years, they will be able to earn it. It's a new program that I checked with the state website. So actually that will be, it's feasible in my opinion, but just let's go back and check it.
Yeah, I'll go back. Things have changed. If there might be a new pathway to that. Again, I haven't looked into it since the 2019-2020 school year. So we can come back with that.
I think we have consensus. Yes, okay.
Madam Dallas, would you like to say something about that? Is he there?
We're gonna recognize trustee Canlis. Yeah, and then if trustee Gonzalez has anything, he can raise his hand. And Lori will let us know.
No comment.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just more clarification, I wanted to emphasize the need to look at our heating system and our air conditioning system. So I think superintendent already say that this is something that we're gonna be working on. I just want to make sure that that's what I heard.
Yeah, there's short-term and long-term. There's immediate short-term, long-term, and so long-term, we have a plan already in place that to replace our, the percentage of our HVAC units that we know are older and need to be replaced. Short term, we're looking at hiring another HVAC technician and contracting if we can. I think we're putting out an RFP. Is that right? And to work with a vendor who could provide us more immediate services, with maybe an open PO and some guaranteed work. We're working on that. We'll see what we get from that. And then in immediate area, we need to be, Mr. Rogers and I were talking about the need to be able to, when we know it's going to be hot, to not run it. We cannot run 100% hot air, not when it's 100 degrees. We can't. There's no way. You have the best HVAC systems in the world, but if you're pumping in 100-degree, 160-degree air, 100%, you can't cool it. So we have to shut that down and move it back towards 50% or 30% or 20% to find. At that point, the need to keep students cool trumps everything else.
Right, so in other words, there is also a strategic plan on how to address these things before they happen.
Yeah, we learned a lot. Like I said, it was a perfect storm of all of those things coming together at the worst time. I don't ever remember, I grew up in the Bay Area and I never remember so many consecutive 100-degree days. I mean, it was crazy.
We're also never been back, I think, in, it didn't happen in August, right? I was thinking it might have happened in August. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. We're on it.
Any other requests of staff? Okay, with that, I would like to adjourn tonight's meeting. Thank you very much. And congratulations to our student members for completing your first board meeting. Very good.